beautiful San Antonio, Texas. And for the fourth consecutive year, it is Big League Weekend. And fans will be treated inside the Alamo Dome to the defending American League West champion Texas Rangers and the defending world champion Kansas City Royals. And we welcome you inside the broadcast booth with Tom Grieve from Rangers TV. I'm Ryan Lefevre from Royals TV. So we will have representation from both sides tonight. And, Tom, it was an unlikely and a very exciting summer in Texas last year, and maybe even more unlikely with all the injuries the Rangers had to their starting rotation.
No doubt about it, Ryan. And at the beginning of spring training, when Yu Darvish goes down, then Derek Holland goes down, two of your key guys, you don't necessarily expect that to lead to the kind of success the Rangers had. The good news is Darvish is getting healthy, should be ready at the beginning of June, and Derek is healthy right now and throwing the ball very well. He's happy with the progress he's making. He's got 3 or 4 more starts left this season. What the Rangers need from Derek is exactly what you're looking at. A guy with a winning record, a solid ERA, and 100 innings, 180 to 200 innings pitched. If he could do that, he could really be one of the keys to the rotation. Now, from Kansas City's point of view, Dylan G is battling in spring training for a spot in either the rotation or maybe the bullpen.
Yeah, you know, with all the success the Royals had last year, you know, there are very few things that went wrong, but if there's a department that the Royals would really like to improve is that they kind of went against the grain where they led the league in bullpen innings. And teams who lead the league in bullpen innings usually don't have a very good year on the mound, but the Royals with a great bullpen were able to get by with that. So this year, Tom, they really need more innings out of the starting rotation. They went out and they signed Ian Kennedy, who's been an innings guy for most of his career. And just a couple of years ago, Dylan G was the opening day starter for the New York Mets, but he had an injury early in the season. He got buried by all of those young studs that helped lead the New York Mets to the National League Championship and the World Series. So Dylan G hoping for a chance, if not in the rotation, as a long reliever, and he'll start for the Royals. So Derek Holland, Dylan G, Rangers have some starters, the Royals have some starters. We'll also get a glimpse of the future for both organizations as a lot of the minor leaguers will appear as well. An exciting night at the Alamo Dome. It's the first of 2 games between the Royals and the Rangers, and the first pitch is next.
Kansas City.
Well, if you don't know much about the Alamo Dome as a baseball stadium, well, you are not in the minority. We know very little about the Alamo Dome, and I say we, that's members of the Kansas City Royals organization. But Tom, you've been here for 4 straight years now, and it really seems to favor the hitter, especially one who can hit it to right field.
It does, Ryan. And when you watch batting practice and you get ready for the game, you look at right field and you go, man, how can you play a baseball game here? The balls are just going to fly out of here one right after the other. Then the game gets started, and maybe in a game you might see a cheap home run, but for the most part, once the game starts, you don't even notice it, and it really doesn't play that huge a factor, at least in the 6 or 7 games we've seen here previously.
And we hear pitchers over the years and pitching coaches, and I'm sure Derek Holland has the same approach, especially this being an exhibition game, but they really can't pitch with that short right field in the back of their minds.
No, and these guys have to pitch in spring training in Arizona with the high sky and the hard dirt at home plate, balls bouncing into the outfield, the wind blowing occasionally out, and the light air, and the ball traveling. So they're used to bad conditions for pitching, and it's actually not bad here except for right field. Watch, did I say it's not going to be a factor? There'll be 6 balls popped up down the right field line, but hopefully that won't be the case.
Here's the Royals lineup. Whit Merrifield, who spent his entire career in the minor leagues, will start at second base, trying to make the team as a utility player. Christian Colon, a hero in the postseason, will be at short. Then some regulars: Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer, Salvador Perez, Paulo Orlando. Most of them should be in the opening day lineup, with Brett Eibner, Jose Martinez, and Hunter Dozier beginning in the minor leagues.
Now for the Rangers, it'll be Derek Holland on the mound. Last year, he was only available for 10 games. The last 2 years, he's pitched a total of 95 innings. He's healthy now. He feels great. You have to think, with the unfortunate injuries over the last couple of years, he's due for a healthy year, in which case the Rangers are looking for a guy to win in double digits and throw 190 innings and be a key guy in the middle of their rotation.
And on the disabled list very early last year, April the 10th, with a left shoulder injury, and pitching to Whit Merrifield. Merrifield is out of the University of South Carolina. Those are his numbers in AAA last year. And this is how the game has evolved lately, where you don't just have backup outfielders and backup infielders anymore. Now you start looking for guys like Whit Merrifield, who can back up in the outfield and on the infield.
And it's become such an important position, and versatility with your extra men is a key component right now. Guys that are one-dimensional ball players have a hard time making a team as a utility player. You need guys that can play multiple positions, and those kind of guys become very valuable.
Two and two.
Now, Derek has very high expectations of himself. The key thing that he wants to see right now is what he's seeing. Throwing free and easy, completely healthy, using all his pitches. Now it's just a matter of building up his arm strength and getting ready for opening day.
Along the way, with Holland having the shoulder injury, Darvish having Tommy John surgery, Martin Perez had a big chunk of his season wiped away. There were some discoveries where the Rangers were forced to find other pitchers who could get the job done and get them to the playoffs. The ball will drop foul, nearly hitting a big speaker. There are spots inside the Alamo Dome, just like Tropicana Field in Tampa Bay, where if it hits a speaker here, it's a live ball. If it hits a speaker there, it is a foul ball. So we'll just kind of wing it.
Yep,
we'll just watch the umpires.
What happens. Yeah, I guess one of the things that happened last year with the injuries to those key rotation guys you're talking about is a guy like Chichi Gonzalez, Nick Martinez, Phil Klein. They all got opportunities to pitch in the big leagues and pitch in a pennant race. It wasn't like they were pitching on a lousy team. Not like they were pitching on a lousy team where the games didn't matter. These guys, once the season got underway, were pitching in important games with a lot of things on the line every time they went out there. So they're battling for that 5th spot in the rotation this year, and last year should be a good thing to help them along the way.
Here the Rangers defensively. How the Rangers feel about their team defensively when the year was over?
I think they felt like it was an adequate defensive team, but I've seen Jeff Bannister say that the biggest difference between the Rangers and the Kansas City Royals was the defense that you guys played compared to the Rangers. Not that the Rangers were bad, you guys were superlative, but I think the Rangers feel that there's a lot of room for improvement defensively this year.
Christian Colon with a base hit to right field.
The center fielder, number 6.
Jerry Fraley had a good article in the Dallas paper either yesterday or this morning. Fastball up and out over the plate. Nice swing by Colon. A lot of the Ranger errors last year were throwing errors. Odor at second, Elvis at shortstop, and even Beltre at third base had probably between them 22 to 25 throwing errors. So there's been a lot of emphasis this spring on not eliminating throwing errors, but reducing them. And I think when you talk to the Ranger coaches, the Ranger front office, they'll say that they're happy with the players they've got defensively. They just need to play up to their capabilities, and then I think the defense will show a lot of improvement.
Here's the Royals Player of the Year last year for a second straight season, Lorenzo Cain. And the Royals know, of course, that Holland has a very good move to first base. Lorenzo Cain also was third in the league for American League MVP, finishing behind Josh Donaldson and Mike Trout. And when you talk about the Royals and their defense, a lot of times you begin with Lorenzo Cain. But here's the Rangers with their defense. 4-6-3, Alberto to Profar to Rua. And Holland gets around the one-out single in the top of the first. Well, last year for the Rangers and the Dodgers here in San Antonio, they attracted 46,000 fans for the two games and expecting more for this weekend series. And here's the Rangers batting order, and let's begin right at the top. What an impact Delino DeShields Jr. had last year as a Rule 5 pick from the Astros. So a few regulars in there for Jeff Bannister. And here is Delino DeShields Jr.
Oh, boy.
And Dylan G. He only pitched in 8 games with the Mets last year. He had a groin injury, spent some time in the minor leagues, and then when it was time for him to come back, well, the Mets had started promoting all of those young pitchers. Guys like Noah Syndergaard, Steven Matz, and then all of a sudden there was no spot in the Mets rotation for Dylan G.
We were talking during a break, Ryan, about Kansas City's good fortune last year when they signed 3 or 4 guys just like Dylan G, guys who had been successful in the past and for various reasons had to come to spring training on a minor league contract, and that was one of the key components to your success last year.
Well, you're right. There are so many obvious storylines for the Royals. You talked about the defense last half inning and their great bullpen, and they were a clutch hitting team. They're very athletic, but some of the non-roster players that they picked up that we weren't even talking about before spring training: Ryan Madsen, Joe Blanton, Franklin Morales, Chris Young, who's from the Dallas area, got a big league contract in the middle of spring training. You know, the Royals don't win they don't win the division by 12 games at least without all those guys. So yeah, great job by their professional scouting staff. Hunter Dozier knocks down a sharply hit ground ball and throws out to Shields, and there's one away. So as we're talking about the Royals defense, Dozier makes a nice play at third. Brett Eibner, good defensive outfielders in left. Lorenzo Cain in center. Paulo Orlando in right. And then Dozier, Christian Colon at short, Whit Merrifield at second, and then a couple of Gold Glove winners, Eric Hosmer at first and Salvador Perez behind the plate. And now Jurickson Profar back to G, and 2 down.
Well, Dylan G certainly stacks up as potentially that kind of guy for Kansas City this year, whether he's a starter or a reliever. The success he's had in the past and the fact that he's in camp battling for a position, I'm sure he looks at the Royals team last year and sees the success and the opportunity that that type of a player got last year, and feels that if he can perform, he's got this chance to do the same thing.
Nomar Mazara. Now, to Royals fans, unless they're paying close attention, they don't know much about Nomar Mazara, but if you're a Rangers fan, you know all about this guy.
Yeah, he's one of the bright prospects that the Rangers have. 3 or 4 years ago, he was in a group of highly priced Latin signings. He got $5 million to sign before the bonus pool rule went into effect, and he zipped through the minor leagues. He's only 20 years old, and he's been a terrific minor league player. He's having a good spring.
How about that nifty glove work by Hunter Dozier and Dylan G for a very quick bottom of the first inning. Royals and Rangers, no score inside the Alamo Dome. And the Royals in the second inning will be sending up Eric Hosmer, Salvador Perez, and Paulo Orlando. And those are mostly career highs for Hosmer. 93 RBIs, 363 on base percentage, and was huge for the Royals in the postseason. Ahead of the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Hosmer also won another Gold Glove his third at first base. Little bit inside, 1-2. Pitch was down out of the strike zone, and Holland has struck out his second.
That's a good sign. Something nice to see. First 4 hitters, Derek has struck out a couple of batters. Good pitch right there to Hosmer. Looked like a sinking fastball down and away. Derek coming in, had 3 starts in spring training games, pitched almost 9 innings. Only given up 1 earned run. That came on a home run. Didn't have a lot of strikeouts. A few more walks that he'd like to see. But the big thing early in spring was trying to build up his arm strength. Said he has felt good every time he's been out there. I think he's pretty happy with where he is right now.
And pitching to Salvador Perez, the 2015 World Series MVP. Salvador Perez, like Eric Hosmer, had career highs in several departments. But all that is just icing on the cake for what he does behind the plate for the Royals. Sal's one of those guys, Tom, and you saw this when you were a general manager, and sometimes you can explain it, sometimes you can't, but some guys, for whatever reason, play their best baseball at the major league level. They do things at the major league level that they didn't first do at the minor league levels.
Yeah, again, I wouldn't have an explanation for that, but I noticed Jeff Bannister made that kind of a comment about Jurickson Profar. He said he hadn't seen Jurickson because he's been hurt while he was here. But he said, you know, I've been watching him in the drills, and he looks like a nice player. And then watching him in the games, he looks like a very nice player. So he kind of looked at Profar as the same kind of guy. He didn't really light his eyes up in practice, liked him. But then when he watched him perform in the games, whether he took it to another level, had a different type of an opportunity, he impressed him even more. And I guess when you say that about a player, sometimes people might read into it, well, I guess they just don't care about practice. They're just not trying very hard in practice. And then when the games start, they actually start to try. But I don't think that's it at all. I think they're practicing hard. They just, for some reason, elevate the level of their performance once the games start.
A foul ball for Salvador Perez. And some guys just rise to the occasion. You know, I mean, some players, I think they need to feel like, well, I've done this in the minor leagues. You know, I've hit for power in the minor leagues. I've hit for average in the minor leagues. I drove in runs in the minor leagues. Therefore, I can do it in the major leagues. And some guys, you know, maybe they didn't do it in the minor leagues, but in their mind, you know, they still believe they can do it. And you look at Salvador Perez in his minor league career, there's no one season where you stand out and go, wow.
Yeah, it's hard to explain that.
Well, right field will be tested here, and Perez goes the other way for a home run.
Well, we said there wouldn't be 5 or 6 of them, but on a ball like that, it's kind of hard to tell. The right fielder's playing so shallow right now. That ball obviously went way over his head, but if we're playing this game in Kansas City or Texas, the right fielder's playing back 20 or 25 feet, and maybe goes back to the warning track in front of the wall and is able to make that play. Solidly hit ball, fastball up and away. Questionable whether it was hit well enough to be a home run. Definitely well enough to be a home run in this ballpark. 272 feet down the right field line.
And now Paulo Orlando with a mighty rip against a Derek Holland fastball. Here's an easy guy to pull for. 9 years in the minor leagues with the White Sox and the Royals, mostly with the Royals. A track star in Brazil turned baseball player, and spent most of last year not only with the Royals, but here's another guy who really rise to the occasion several times at the major league level.
My guess would be that if you were some way able to identify all those players that you're talking about.
Home run derby to right field. That one almost went into the second deck. So back-to-back home runs for Salvador Perez and Paulo Orlando to give the Royals a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, Perez hit his ball solidly. It looked like Orlando might have hit that one even better. That ball was pretty well to right field. Very difficult to know exactly where they would land in either of the big league ballparks. But I guess one thing that you say, if this was going to be your home ballpark, you might not want to throw right-hand hitters fastballs up and out over the plate. All three of the balls that have been hit hard for base hits and home runs have been fastballs away. Colon had a fastball up and away, drove him to right field for a base hit. The other two have been fastballs up and away that ended up going out of the ballpark.
So as shallow as it is in right, it's 350 down the left field line.
But if you were to take those guys that seem to rise to the occasion and play even better in the big leagues than they did in the minor leagues, chances are a lot of them are really good athletes with really good tools. They run well, good bat speed, and it's just a matter of maybe they've started to mature a little bit, gain a little bit of confidence, and then their natural ability just comes through. And certainly in the case of Perez, he's got great hand-eye coordination. I'm always amazed when we play you guys, some of the pitches that he puts in play. Not a guy that's up there looking to take a walk, that's for sure, but in spite of all the pitches he swings at, he makes pretty good contact with most of them.
Holland comes back and strikes out Eibner, so he has 3 already.
Like a slider on the inside corner.
Well, back to your point about Salvador Perez, I mean, before he hit the home run, he fouled off 5 pitches. 3 of them he probably shouldn't have swung out in the first place, but got one he could handle and drove it over the wall in right field. This is Jose Martinez. He was in AAA last year, AAA Omaha, and that .384 batting average was good enough for a Pacific Coast League batting title. Down in the count, 0-2. One ball, 2 strikes.
Another thing, Brian, with those kind of players is a lot of times they're very young players, and when they're in the minor leagues, a lot of them are among the younger players in rookie league, then in A-ball, then in AA. So in spite of their physical gifts, they're always a little bit overmatched when they're very young by players who are 3 or 4 years older, and eventually they catch up with the competition, and then you see that kind of a spike in their performance.
Martinez is on with 2 down. That's a good point, because it does seem like when a young player gets to the big leagues and succeeds beyond some people's expectations, when you really go back and look at their career, you realize they were the youngest player at every stop. Going to get a trip to the mound here, and the Rangers are going to get busy in the bullpen. This is Greg Hibbard, who is the AAA pitching coach for the Rangers. Doug Brocail is with the rest of the Rangers back in Surprise. Of course, the Royals and Rangers could play every day if they wanted to in Surprise, Arizona, but they traveled all the way to San Antonio to play a couple of games this weekend.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything physically wrong with Derek. He was smiling on the mound, and at the same time, he had a very quick first inning. Not sure how many pitches he's thrown here in the second. He's up to about 35 pitches. So I guess in spring training, you get the pitcher ready just in case this turns into an exceptionally long inning. And Derek has a hard time getting that last out of the inning. I don't want him to stay out there too long.
This is Hunter Dozier. 3 years ago, he was the Royals' first-round pick out of Stephen F. Austin. He is from Denton, Texas.
The other thing that's very tough to predict in the lower minor leagues is what kind of power a player is going to have. I think there's a lot of guys that throughout a significant part of their minor league careers don't hit a lot of home runs, and then all of a sudden they get to AAA or they get to the big leagues, and after a year or two you see this big spike. They go from hitting 4 or 5 home runs to 13 or 14, and you look at their baseball card and you say, man, didn't see any signs that he was going to be a power hitter in the minor leagues, and all of a sudden now he's 24 or 25 and he's showing that kind of power. It comes at different times for different players, and it's very, very hard to predict, I think, which players in the minor leagues are going to be the ones that hit the most home runs.
Deep short, and Profar shows off his strong arm and gets Dozier to end the second inning. Well, you figured in this ballpark it would be the left-hand batters lining up to take advantage of that short porch. But for the Royals in the second inning, it was a couple of right-hand batters going to the opposite field. Salvador Perez and Paulo Orlando to give the Royals a 2-0 lead. That little guy just got a big ovation for, there he goes. He got another one in the net. Now he's on a roll. He had to get 3, and he got one right at the very end. His third one right at the very end. I have no idea what he won, but I don't think that's the point.
No, I don't either.
He will never forget this night. And Caterpillars off the field. Is that what Bryce Harper was talking about when he said guys aren't able to express themselves enough on the field?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, the little kids watch video games, and they see that bat flip, and you know, they're going to grow up over the next 10 or 15 years, a lot of them thinking that that's the way you're supposed to play the game. So I'm kind of right there with Bryce Harper on that. If it's in your personality and that's what you want to express, go for it. If you're an article about Mike Trout says that's not the way he plays, and that's fine. If that's his personality, then be a little more subdued. But you got to be free to be yourself and let your feelings out. A lot of old school people like Goose Gossage don't quite feel the same way. And
no, he did.
When he's throwing 100 miles an hour, that can be a little bit dangerous if you want to go to the bat flip. But fastball right there got in on Ruggiano's fists. See the result.
That's 3 consecutive comebackers for Dylan G. Make it 4 if he can find it. And safe. So the Rangers are having a tough time getting the ball by the mound.
Well, he almost snared that one too.
Brewer got down the line pretty well. I thought G was going to have a chance to pick it up and get him at first base. Got most of his glove on it. Rid of it pretty quickly. That one might have gone to replay if we had replay available here.
Well, Dylan G is doing exactly what the Royals want him to do, and what made him attractive to the Royals. Working quickly, throwing strikes. He's aggressive with his fastball. Doesn't have an overpowering fastball, but aggressive with it. Now pitching to Robinson Chirinos, one of the Rangers regulars in the lineup tonight. One hop to Cologne. And the Royals are showcasing their defense in the first 2 innings. And Dylan G doing an excellent job of keeping the ball down. All 6 outs have been on the ground tonight. For Salvador Perez and Paulo Orlando have given the Royals a 2-0 lead over the Rangers. Derek Holland faced only 3 in the first inning, got a strikeout and a double play. He struck out 2 more in the second, but allowed the home runs. One of those to that man, Salvador Perez.
Is anybody hearing me?
And now back to work against the top of the order in Whit Merrifield, who is starting at second base. And Holland struck him out looking to begin the game. And for a strike, 0-1. Merrifield has had a good spring at the plate. But if you're going to play for the Royals, you must also have a good spring in the field. 10 years ago, Tom, maybe more like 15 years ago, if you'd hear about a player who could play defense, the knee-jerk reaction will be, okay, what can he hit?
Yeah.
You know, but now,
not going to hit enough to play.
Well, now it's like, with the way, you know, teams like the Royals making defense important again, it's like, okay, he can hit, and now the reaction is, well, can he play defense?
Yeah. Well, you see the contract that Jason Hayward got, and when you look at it at first blush, you say, man, does he put up the kind of numbers that would merit that kind of a contract? And then you hear other analytic people talk about it. They'll say, well, you have to consider the base running, and you have to take into account how much above average he is defensively. So it's not only translating into the success of teams, it's making some players a lot of extra money that they might not have made in the past. When pretty much, when you go back to those years, your offensive numbers was how you made your money. Nice to have defense, but those kind of guys weren't making a whole lot of money.
It usually doesn't take you very far when you're standing in front of the judge during arbitration.
No.
When you tell him that your ultimate zone
I hit
rating.
the cutoff, man, every single time.
Right. Christian Colon singled his first time up. Chris started 0 for 23 in spring training, and there were a lot of hard hit outs. But a couple of days ago against the Cubs, he doubled and singled. So now he's had 3 hits in his last 2 games. And he has 2 hits tonight. So Colon is on with 1 out. And now the middle of the order coming up.
Center fielder Lorenzo Cain.
Great story last year, Christian Colon, first round pick, 2010, spent a big chunk of last year in the minor leagues. Tom, he had not played in any game in 3 weeks and came on in the 12th inning of Game 5 of the World Series and drove in Gerard Dyson to put the Royals in front. It was the beginning of a 5-run inning. Of course, we didn't know that at the time, but it put the Royals in front in the deciding game. And now Lorenzo Cain, who also had a big hit in that 12th inning in Game 5, he goes to the gap. Colon will be held at third. And Lorenzo Cain, who grounded into a double play his first time, is 1 for 2.
First baseman Eric Hosmer.
Well, the Royals are having good swings when Derek gets the ball up, his fastball up and out over the plate. Okay, he wanted to get that a little bit more down, a little bit more in than it was. And of course, he's pitching to an all-star who's hit 300 the last couple of years, too. He hit some pretty good pitches. Turned out to be a pretty good trade that the Royals made with Milwaukee to get your all-star center fielder and an all-star shortstop.
Well, you're not kidding. Wait.
Now, the Rangers had a similar trade when they traded Mark Teixeira to Atlanta and ended up with Elvis Andrus, Matt Harrison, and Nefi Feliz.
That was a conversation we had quite a bit last year. That trade certainly worked out for the Rangers and for the Royals. They were both on the same side of that trade, but the debate came up last year looking at that from the Milwaukee point of view, and I guess with your trade from the Atlanta point of view. And now Hosmer goes the other way. That'll drive in a run. Cain will stop at second, and the Royals are really doing a good job against Holland of using the middle of the field and the opposite field. And their runners at first and second with 1 down. The Royals lead 3-0.
Now batting.
Just to finish the thought, Tom, is it worth it to go for broke like the Braves did? They really wanted Mark Teixeira, so they gave up all those prospects, which helped the Rangers get to the World Series. The Brewers were really going for it in 2011. They got to the championship series, but after a few years go by and you find yourself rebuilding again, do you look back on that trade? You're a general manager. Do you look back on that trade and do you put all your chips in the middle of the table there and go for it, or do you always have to have kind of a long-term view of things?
Well, I think you have to have a view of both. You have to have the ability to pull the trigger on a trade that can let you win now without losing track of the future. I think the most important thing, you have to have a realistic view of your team and what that one player will mean to the team. And if as an organization you analyze it and say, we're very close and this is the one guy and we're just as good as the team that we're chasing and we're only a couple of games back, this can make the difference, then you have to go for it. We made a trade one time where we were 5 games behind Oakland late in the season. They had a better team than we did. The trade was going to help us, but it really wasn't the kind of deal where you could say, this puts us over the top. We're better than the A's. We're going to catch them. And it turned out to be a terrible decision. So I think you have to know your team and know the circumstances before you make that kind of a trade. It helps if you're in a situation like the Rangers were last year when they made the trade for Cole Hamels. They traded 5 really good young prospects. See, Derek looked like a slider on the inside part of the plate. But Nick Williams was a terrific young hitter, but they still had Mazzara and Brinson and Gallo. They still had depth. They traded some good young pitching, but they felt like they had similar kind of pitches available. They didn't put all their good players in one basket and go out and get Hamels. They put some good players in a basket, but they still had a basket full left. So in that case, they had the depth to feel comfortable about it. And you can make a pretty good case that, along with the two relievers, that trade for Hamels was what put them over the top and allowed them to get to postseason. So that turned out to be a win-win for the Rangers. They didn't deplete their farm system. It's still one of the best, and the trade allowed them to get to the postseason. That's, I guess, ideally what you're looking to do.
Paulo Orlando homered the other way against Holland his first time, and now Holland changes speeds. No balls and one strike.
There's a lot less risk for the team that's trading the star player for prospects, because what is the risk? You keep the star player and lose anyway and have to pay a lot of money. I mean, there's no risk there.
Right.
Or you trade him for the best group of prospects you can be. The risk is they don't pan out. Well, fine, you weren't going to win with them anyway, and at least you save some money not having to pay them. But I think it's more fun to be in the position where you're trading the star player, because you need to build for the future, and you're not going to win now for the young prospects. And then if you've done good scouting and you have some good fortune, you end up with the players that the Rangers had in the Teixeira trade, and you end up with Escobar and Kane, the two of the guys that the Royals got back from Milwaukee in the Greinke trade. There's also, Ryan, as you well know, there's a lot of trades for star players, for young players, where 3 years later you don't even know who the young players were that came in that trade. And I think a lot of baseball people would say, I'm always going to make the trade for the established star, because who knows what's going to happen to prospects. And we've isolated 2 cases where the prospects turned out to be really good, but there's a lot of trades where the prospects are just that, prospects who turn into suspects instead of big league players.
2-2 on Paulo Orlando. And then I guess there's also the psychological side of it too. I imagine those guys in the Rangers clubhouse went, whoa,
absolutely.
Cole Hamels is on his way. Same thing happened in Kansas City. You know, the Royals were leading the division. All of a sudden, Dayton Moore goes out and he brings Johnny Cueto and Ben Zobrist to the team. I mean, that's wow.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important too. You've got to show your players that you're trying to win. You have to show your fans. Your fans come out through thick and thin. And, you know, and the Rangers had some lean years, and certainly Kansas City had some lean years. And so I think you say to yourself, well, we have to do what's best for the organization, but at the same time, we owe it to people that are paying good money to come out and watch our team play, to put the best team on the field and give it a chance to win and give them something to cheer about. Toronto was in the same position, and they did that too. So a lot of factors go into those kind of trades.
Full count, 2 down, the runners go, and now the bases are loaded. Holland has walked his first. Kane goes to third, Hosmer to second, and Orlando at first base.
I think when Derek analyzes this outing, it appears that his arm feels great. He's throwing the ball fine. As time goes on in spring training and you get to the season, then it's a matter of refining the command of your fastball, where it's not up and out over the plate in the hitter zone quite as much as it has been so far in this game. We're able to locate it a little bit better. And he still has a lot of time to do that. There's a lot of really good starting pitchers early in spring training who don't have that location. And let's face it, Cole Hamels is in that position. He's pitching in minor league games, and he's given up a couple of home runs in minor league games. When you have a track record, you don't worry quite as much about those kind of outings. In Derek's case, not pitching very much for a couple of years, and people tend to probably worry about it with him a little bit more than they do with someone like Cole Hamels. And then you've got the guys like Dylan G and Nick Martinez and Chichi Gonzalez, who don't have the luxury of just getting ready for the season. They've got to go out and be in mid-season form and get everybody out now to win a spot. A lot of pitchers, they're all in different positions in spring training.
Eibner struck out looking his first time and lays off a changeup down. It's something we have to explain to the fans every year when one of the team's best pitchers gets knocked all over the block. And after the game, he says, I felt pretty good. I got my work in.
Yeah, well, you didn't look very good.
Right. But their objectives are different. It's not their final line.
Yep.
That is pulled foul. And now Holland is at 60 pitches through 2 2/3 innings. Little bit inside.
And that was with a fairly quick first inning. Got the double play to get out of the first inning. Only faced 3 hitters, but he's had a long second and a long third.
Looped out to short, and Profar makes the play to end the inning. So the Royals leave the bases loaded, but they add another run on Hosmer's base hit. It is 3-0 KC to the bottom of the third. Big league weekend in San Antonio. Royals fans, Rangers fans. I have heard that this is kind of a gray area. Depends on which team is doing better, whether San Antonio is dominated by Rangers fans or Astros fans. And it'd be tough to gauge now because both teams are playing really well.
Yeah, that's going to be a very nice thing to watch over the next, who knows, at least 5 or 6 years, and maybe a lot longer than that. But they each have 2 of the best farm systems in baseball, and they've got 2 of the best teams in the American League. So it's fun watching Texas baseball now.
Here we are, and if you watch Rangers or Royals games on TV, you get a shot of the booth, and this probably looks like any other broadcast booth to you. But here we are actually right on the left field line. So we are in what would be the football press box. This would be a great shot if it was a football game.
Yeah.
Thank you for the bald spot shot from the camera up above us. Thank you very much. So,
well, this is what you have to look forward to, Ryan. You've got a few years to
well,
get to
I'm
this
on my
point.
way.
This is what you're working toward.
I'm on my way. And I should point out that this is technically a Fox Sports Southwest production, and apparently the Southwest guys have the same sense of humor as the Fox Sports Kansas City guys do as far as shots like that from behind the bald heads.
I guess I'm just used to it.
Drew Robinson goes the other way. Eibner gets to the line and will hold him to a single. So both teams really using the opposite field. And that is the second hit given up by Dylan G. The first one, the first ball period to leave the infield.
Well, this is the 4th year the Rangers have played in San Antonio. The HEB Big League Weekend, of course, organized by Ryan Sanders Baseball. Played San Diego the first year. I think it was the Astros and the Dodgers last year.
That'll drop in front of Eibner. Robinson will hold at second. Hanser Alberto gives the Rangers 2 on with nobody out.
Hanser's battling for a job as a utility infielder. Pedro Siriaco has played really well this spring. They each have slightly different skill sets. In Pedro's case, he's had big league experience, has been a utility player. Hanser did that last season for the Rangers, but he's still a very young player. And if he doesn't make the big league team, then he'll be one of those really good young prospects at the AAA level, playing in the infield, continuing to develop. I think in a lot of big league teams, he'd be battling for a regular spot at either second base or shortstop. Had a good winter ball season with the bat. A couple years ago, he was the best fielder in minor league baseball, so he's got a lot going for him. A lot more than a utility player. That's what he would be for the Rangers, but that's not his skill set. He's got the ability to be a regular in the big leagues.
Stubbs gets tied up, but there's a lot of room out in left field. And now the ball hops over Eibner. And that's going to give the Rangers an extra 90 feet for Robinson to score. Actually, all runners get another 90 feet. Robinson to the plate. Alberto goes to third. And Stubbs ends up at second base.
Well, we've seen a couple of balls go out to right field. Borderline, whether they'd be regular home runs during the season or taking advantage of the right field porch. Rangers just took advantage of the AstroTurf. A little blooper, falls over shortstop, and then bounces straight up in the air and right straight over Eibner's head in left field. It not only bounced up in the air, it looked like it went to the right a little bit too.
Merrifield with a fast runner, close, out. And the Rangers can't believe it. A run scores. So the Shields thought he had a hit and an RBI. He'll have to settle for a ground ball and an RBI, and now it's 3-2.
Well, one thing about Delino that's so much fun to watch, that even on a routine ground ball, he's got a great chance to beat it out. That was a fairly slowly hit ball. Second baseman had to charge it, but last year he beat out routine ground balls to shortstop. There's no foregone conclusion that he's going to be out on a ground ball.
Royals will bring the infield in for Jerickson Profar with Stubbs at third and one down. The Rangers noticed in the first two innings that Dylan G was being very aggressive with his fastball, and they have come out swinging in the third inning. Diving play by Merrifield, so he saves a run, and another very good defensive play by the Royals in the first three innings.
Right fielder, Nomar Mazara.
Profar has to reach for the off-speed pitch. Ended up hitting it solidly on the good part of the bat, a line shot. But even as close as he was to the batter playing in, Merrifield was able to snag it and make a nice play on it.
And now Mazara, and the slider's in for a strike from Dylan G. Mazara lost a hit on a good play by G on a comeback during the first inning. Changeup, and he had him out in front. Dozier in foul ground will make the play. So a misplay out in left field helped the Rangers. They come up with 2 runs on 3 hits to make it a 1-run game. Shields ground ball in the third inning. That is the American League Manager of the Year from last season. There were some great candidates, including the man managing across from him tonight, and Ned Yost, but a 21 game improvement for the Rangers. Ned Yost's team won a World Series for the first time in 30 years in Kansas City, and Jeff Bannister inherited a team that had the worst record in the American League in 2014 and improved by 21 games and led the Rangers to the playoffs. Jose Martinez singled to center field in the second inning against Derek Holland, who is about to deliver his 64th pitch. And it's a changeup low. Holland faced only 3 in the first inning, but the Royals scored 2 in the second on home runs by Perez and Orlando. And then Hosmer drove in a run in a long third inning. And now Martinez takes a shot at right field. Mazzara makes the play on the track.
Nice try, Jose. You went to the right spot. Just didn't get quite enough of it.
Third baseman, number
It reminds me a little bit of the old Baggy at the Metrodome in right field.
Yeah, it does. It does.
16-foot high. Now Dozier takes a strike. Hunter Dozier grounded out to Profar at short in the second inning. No balls, 2 strikes. A little bit inside. Is this about the time you think pitchers make the transition from getting their work into, okay, now I got to start working on getting guys out?
Yep, I think it is. Not sure how many starts. Derek probably has 3 more starts after this. I would say that it definitely starts the transition as you get to your last 3 starts, and instead of going a certain low pitch count, you start to get up to 70, 80, and eventually 90 pitches. Hopefully you start to get up to 5, 6, maybe 7 innings toward the end. And then I definitely think you have to start approaching it like it's a regular season game to get into that mindset where it's much more than just getting your arm straightened up and getting ready. But now you're starting to make the pitches to get people out. I think the managers treat the games that way too the last 10 days of spring training.
That was a good plate appearance for Dozier, coming back from 0-2 to take a 1-out walk. And speaking of walks, Jeff Bannister will walk out and remove Derek Holland. So Mendoza was warming up in the second inning. He was warming up in the third inning, and now warming up here in the fourth. He is going to come on and face Whit Merrifield with 1 on, 1 out in the top of the fourth inning. This is Francisco Mendoza, who spent all of last year in the minor leagues. 12 games at Frisco, 32 games at Round Rock, and most of those out of the bullpen. And just watching him warm up, he looks like he could be a handful for a right-hand batter. Whit Merrifield takes a strike. He is 0 for 2. He struck out and flied to center field against Derek Holland. Mendoza inherits Hunter Dozier, who walked against Derek Holland, and then Holland was removed with 1 out. And going the other way, caught by Mazzara in right field. Good swing with 2 strikes, taking a slider the other way. 2 down.
The shortstop, Christian Colon.
By Mazzara looked like a kind of a sinking line drive that he ended up catching about ankle high. Very calmly, though. And it all the way.
Slider for a strike to Christian Colon, who was chipped in with a couple of hits and scored one of the runs. It must be odd for Mazzara, and for that matter Paulo Orlando, to be in right field here, because they must feel so close to the infield.
That's a mini version of the Green Monster in Boston.
They'll get Dozier down to second base.
Yeah, that kind of a short porch, it unfortunately might give up a couple of extra home runs, and also might allow you to take away a couple of line drive singles that would have fallen in front of the right fielder if they were playing back where they normally would be playing. Makes it tough to score from second base on a base hit to right field, as close as the right fielder is.
Chop toward third. Robinson. It's a foul ball off of Colon's foot. Now, we just showed you 272. I have heard, it's my first time here, you've been here before, that they discovered it was actually closer to 240, and that they moved home plate and the pitcher's mound back so that they could add some distance to right field.
Yeah, I asked J.J. Gotch of the Sanders Ryan Baseball Organization that same question, and he said it's the same distance that it was last year. The first year it might have been a little bit different, but they made an adjustment going into the second year, and for the second, third, and fourth years, it's been this. Now, as far as if you measured it, is it exactly 272? I'm not exactly sure about that, but according to JJ, it's the same this year as it was last year. Should be probably pretty close to that 272. First year, home plate was closer to the third base dugout.
So there you can go. You can see where there was the previous infield line, and where they've had to make some adjustments to see that kind of faded arch. That infield was farther in the outfield than it is now.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why it's that way. If anything, that would indicate that they moved it closer to the stands on the first base side, because as it curves around and back of second base, it looks like it comes back almost to where it is right now. It's farther back behind shortstops. I'm not exactly sure why that line is that way.
got an infield single, by the way, on that chopper to Robinson, so he's 3 for 3. And the Royals have 8 hits in the first 4 innings. Lorenzo Cain has one of those with a single the other way in the 3rd inning. Slider away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, this is Royals baseball offensively. There are usually not a lot of walks. They have 2 in the first 4 innings, but they put the ball in play. They put the ball in play early in the count. And Nedio's offense thrives on putting pressure on the opposing defense. Another statistic that confuses some people when you look at the Royals offensively. They should have a higher on base percentage if they're going to be a winning team. They're just not a high on base percentage team, but they don't strike out. Now Holland did strike out 4, but they put the ball in play. Inside to Cain, 2 balls, 1 strike. Royals had about
Hosmer, who has driven in a run. We understand we're having some video difficulties at the moment. We apologize for that. We are working to get that corrected. And now it's 0-2 on Hosmer. Okay. All right, so we're going to have to go into radio mode for a while here.
Right up your alley.
That's right. So Hosmer batting with Colon at second, Cain at first, 2 down. 4-2 Royals in the top of the 4th inning. And now a slider is fouled away at the plate, and it's still 0-2. We are only in the 4th inning, and already 7 of the 9 Royals starters have reached base. Here's the 0-2 again, and a fastball got the inside corner. So Hosmer is down looking to end the inning. Mendoza finishes off the 4th with a strikeout, but the Royals add a run. We go to the bottom of the 4th. The Royals lead the Rangers 4-2. This is the most visited location in the state of Texas, the Alamo, which is, and I'd never been here before, but it surprised me some that it's right in downtown San Antonio. I guess I just kind of pictured it out in the middle of nowhere, but it's right amongst the buildings, not far from the Alamo Dome, where the Royals lead the Rangers 4-2, going to the bottom of the 4th inning. Royals have hit 2 home runs, taking advantage of the inside of that ballpark, which is configured to be an excellent football stadium, and the University of Texas San Antonio plays their football games here. The San Antonio Spurs for a long time played their basketball games here. Occasionally baseball played inside the Alamo Dome. Dylan G has given up 2 runs on 4 hits in his first 3 innings, and pitches to Justin Ruggiano, and a breaking ball is in for a strike.
Well, TCU Horned Frogs had a pretty good game there. I don't know if you watched that game with Oregon where they were behind 31-0 at the half and ended up tying it at 31 and winning it finally in a spectacular comeback. We're reading some TCU fans, they say, who left that game at halftime and found out they won later.
Regret it for the rest of their lives. Yeah.
A lot of people that left it on TV and came back in amazement. I guess it'd be even a bigger shock if you turned it out after you're down 31-0 and turned it back and saw that the Frogs came back and won, as it would be sitting there and watching the whole thing and watching it unfold step by step.
Right. Brian Rua reached with an infield single in the 2nd inning. Boy, did he put on a show during batting practice today.
I missed it. I didn't see it.
And he was picking on the deeper parts of this ballpark. He wasn't working on the short porch in right field. He was pulling balls to left field and left center. It's 398, by the way, to left center field. 350 up the left field line, and 415 to straightaway center field, and he was hitting balls one after another 10 or 15 rows back into the seats.
Wow.
Merrifield, another nice play, and Rua is out. So Dylan G continues to throw strikes. For the most part, he is keeping the ball on the ground, and his defense has rewarded him several times.
Yeah, Dylan G's not doing anything to hurt his chances of making the ball club. They're having a good outing. Rangers bunched together 3 hits in the 3rd, but the key hit was the bloop double by Drew Stubbs that bounced over Brett Eidner's head in left field. Turned out to be the key hit of the inning. Other than that, pretty much everything else has been hit on the ground.
Look at that pitch count, Tom. That's pitch number 31.
Wow.
2 down in the 4th inning.
I knew it would be low. I didn't know it was that low. Pretty amazing.
7 pitches out of the strike zone out of 31. 1 ball, 1 strike. He was excited. It's an exhibition game, but he was excited from Cleburne and went to UTA, University of Texas Arlington. And his family, they're Rangers fans. As a 5-year-old, he was there for Nolan Ryan's 7th no-hitter. Now, he says, I was told I was at Nolan Ryan's 7th no-hitter because he didn't realize what was going on, but he was there.
Well, you got a family full of baseball fans and Ranger fans that took him to the ball game.
Just outside.
Well, every manager, every pitching coach loves guys that throw strikes. You have to think Ned Yost, watching this, is feeling pretty good about what he's seeing from Dylan G today.
And when he's missing there.
Yeah, and not by much.
Kept that pitch down. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Chirinos. Grounded into a double play his first time up. On the ground. He's been doing that all night. Dozier, as Hosmer keeps his foot on the ground. So in 4 innings of his 12 outs, 10 have been on the ground. The 2 Royals over the Rangers. Royals are coming up in the 5th inning. We'll have Salvador Perez, Paulo Orlando, and Brett Eibner. And it'll be Phil Klein will be the Rangers' 3rd pitcher tonight.
Now, Phil saw some time last year with the Rangers. Pitched a lot of AAA. Called up more than once. And getting an opportunity to start late in the spring training round. One of many candidates to fill a relief role with the Rangers. He was the 7th spot in the bullpen. Been some talk that the Rangers have considered having 8 relievers and 3 extra men. Don't know if that's the way it'll turn out or not, or if that was just a figment of the media's imagination. In any event, Phil is getting an opportunity to start, and he's done both. He's relieved and started.
Salvador Perez homer to right field against Derek Holland in the 2nd inning, and then Holland came back and struck him out in the 3rd.
The Rangers felt that last year, early in the season, they were forced to use their bullpen significantly. The starters weren't pitching deeply enough into games on a consistent basis, and by the end of the year, to a certain degree, that took its toll. I think the feeling is this year is to try to avoid that, so that the relievers are strong all 6 months of the season and into the postseason, hopefully. And to do that, you have to have a starting staff that gives you innings, and it's important to have guys at the bottom of the bullpen who can give you multiple innings. Well, that's one spot that's up for grabs for the Rangers, either 1 or 2 spots in the bullpen. An important part of that being the ability to throw more than 1 inning, multiple innings. For that day where you have a blowout, the starting pitcher only pitches 1 or 2 innings. You need 7 innings from the relievers. Hopefully you get a lot of that from your long man, and you don't have to use your key 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guys in a game that's out of hand in the wrong direction.
Want to know on Paulo Orlando. He followed Perez's home run with his own home run in the 2nd inning, and then he walked in the 3rd.
Ryan, you were saying that Kansas City had the most relief innings last year.
Yeah, I was going to give you another side to that argument you were making from a Kansas City perspective. There were times where Ned Yost was comfortable with fewer guys on the bench and more relievers. And here's the confusing part when you look at the Royals bullpen last year. The Royals had the most relief innings in the American League. Now, normally that's a bad statistic,
exactly.
right? I mean, that's usually not a good team. However, of the top 23 individuals for innings pitched, the Royals only had 3. So the group threw a lot of innings, but because they had so many arms down there, Ned was able to, divide it equally, so you didn't run any 1 or 2 or 3 guys into the ground. For the most part, they threw a lot of innings, but individually they were pretty fresh.
Right.
But the big question is, as you said, can you do that and be 1 man short on the bench?
And then you have roster ramifications, 40-man roster limits. And then it becomes a case of hopefully the guys that you might have to shuffle back and forth have options so you don't have to create roster space. That can be very confusing as well. And that's what major league teams at this stage of spring training talk about, those type of things, the makeup of their starting staff, the bullpen, who has options, who doesn't have options, who are the guys that might go to AAA that would be called up in April if you have a need. That's why in spring training you may not have a great chance to make the team, but you have a great chance to make an impression on the manager and the general manager, so that when there is a need, and there always is, sometimes the first week in April there's a need, you've made that impression in spring training and the manager remembers it and you're the first guy to get the call. So there is opportunity. There's a lot of guys vying for a few spots, but there is opportunity.
Eibner takes a 2-out walk. And now Phil Klein will get Jose Martinez.
Designated hitter Jose Martinez.
That single was to center field in the second inning. He's also flied out to right. Off the knuckles and foul up the right field line. But the Rangers traditionally made pitching decisions based on where they're located and knowing how many hot days that they're going to have to play. Do you add some wear and tear, even though maybe the innings don't show it, but you know that you're going to have a 10-game homestand and you might have 9 of those are going to be 98 degrees.
I don't think so. I think that you accept the fact that it's going to be hot in the summertime, and that's always been a question. Have the Rangers had a hard time winning, particularly before they went to the World Series twice, because of the heat? And it was always an easy excuse to have. You didn't want it to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think what it boils down to is the better the talent on your team, the better you're equipped to battle the sun in the summertime. The worse the talent, then it doesn't really matter. And so I think the Rangers have proven that they can win in the heat. I don't know that they do anything differently as far as scouting and the makeup of their team, but I think they have to pay a great deal of attention to how you get through a hot summer as far as hydration and diet and exercise, and whether you take batting practice indoors or outdoors. The Rangers spend a lot of time taking batting practice indoors during the heat of the summertime to conserve that energy. And so I think they've probably made a in-depth study on how to counteract the heat with the players they have, but I don't know that they make any roster moves based on the heat.
A lot of room in center field here, and DeShields makes the play in front of the warning track. So Fine comes on in the 5th inning. He faces 4. The Royals strand a runner. It is 4-2 Kansas City. San Antonio, Texas. The Royals and the Rangers inside the Alamo Dome. Nice crowd is gathered here. They have what they're calling it in surprise, where the Royals and Rangers train together. The Campus of Champions. Rangers won the West. The Royals won the Central, went on to win the World Series. And 4 of the last 6 American League championships have been won by either the Rangers or the Royals.
I like that. Campus of Champions.
Dylan G has pitched 4 innings. He has given up 2 runs on 3 hits, 2 runs on 4 hits. He has faced the minimum of 3 of his 4 innings. And that breaking ball for a strike to Drew Robinson is just his 37th pitch of the night. He's thrown 37 pitches in 4+ innings. And his defense has rewarded him with the quick counts and the hitters putting the ball in play. The Royals infield has had a very good night. Dylan G's had a good night defensively. And now it's 0-2 on Robinson.
I remember Dylan G pitched a strong game against the Rangers a few years back in Arlington. Pitched the same kind of a game. Great command with his fastball. He had a good changeup that day.
And now a good play in the outfield. Got away with a mistake there on 0-2, but Eibner bails him out in left.
Well, you got some different faces out there with the Royals defensively, but they're making the same kind of defensive plays. Alex Gordon out in left field. And again, we talked about it earlier in the broadcast. One of the things the Rangers want to do is improve their defense, become above average. And when you talk about being an above average team and a team to emulate, it's certainly the Royals.
A crack bat, and it's Eibner again. And this time he had to grab it with his bare hand. It was back in the 3rd inning when Stubbs blooped one into left field and the ball went over Eibner, turning a single into a double. And this time a kind of an emergency grab with his bare hand. He keeps it in front of him. And Alberto's 2 for 2.
The key is realize you can't catch it as quickly as possible and stop so that you don't get too close to the ball and have it bounce over your head.
So here's Stubbs. He drove in Robinson with that bloop double in the 3rd inning. What are the reports on, and I bring this up because Stubbs is playing in left field, but how's Ian Desmond coming around defensively in left field?
Well, I think the Rangers were very confident in his athletic ability, his speed, his athletic ability, his throwing arm, that he would do very well in left field. And I read, I believe it was John Daniels said, they expected him to do a very good job out there. They've been even pleasantly surprised it's been better than they thought. He played center field in a spring game the other day. I think they're very confident that as the season goes on and he gets more experience out there, that he'll become a very good left fielder.
Well, you just brought up Alex Gordon's name, and that's a recent example of a guy who's, Ian Desmond has had more success than Alex Gordon did before his switch, but that turned his career around.
Well, evidently Ian Desmond called Alex Gordon for a little bit of advice, knowing that he'd made that switch. In fact, I think he's talked to other people about playing in the outfield. So he's got everything going for him. He's a terrific athlete. He's got the tools to be a way above average outfielder, and he's committed to it. He signed with the Rangers with the idea that, hey, this is, at this stage of my career, this is the team I want to be with. This is the position I want to play, and I'm going to make it work. So he's got a great attitude. Everybody has raved about his addition to the team and the chemistry and the type of teammate he is. the way he goes about his business, the way he works. He fits in perfectly, a lot like all the rest of the Ranger players. And they feel that as time goes on, he's going to be a very good left fielder.
1-0 to DeShields, who is 0 for 2 with an RBI. He has Alberto at second base with 2 down. Off of G's glove. Merrifield will have to hurry, and he decided not to throw, realizing there was no play. So Shields ends up with an infield single, and the inning continues. And now the Shields is going to come out for a pinch runner. Is that Lewis Brinson?
Yes. One thing good, Ryan, it appears with both these managers, when they make a replacement, he goes into the same position in the same spot in the lineup, which makes it a little bit easier for us to keep track of who everybody is.
Neither manager seems interested in winning the Buck Showalter Cactus League Manager of the Year award.
Well, I always thought there were times where Buck said, you know what, I'm going to mess with the media a little bit. I'm going to make it as hard for them to keep score of this game as I possibly can.
I believe it.
Now, I guess
I never had a messier scorecard than those first 2 games of the Rangers when he was manager.
Yeah. I think there's a time where you might make a change where the guy goes into a different spot in the lineup. For instance, you might have a young player that you just want him to get an at-bat, and you put him in a spot that makes it more likely that he'll get an at-bat than batting later in the lineup. You might consider that, but for the most part, Jeff Bannister makes all the moves straight up and makes it a lot easier for us to keep score.
Right to Merrifield. So another ground ball out. So Dylan G has a scoreless 5th inning. He's given up 2 runs in 5, and the Royals lead by 2. Sixth inning, the Royals lead the Rangers 4-2. We'll also be with you tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. And then both teams will head back to Surprise, finish up in the Cactus League. Phil Klein took over in the top of the 5th inning and worked around a walk. And now in the 6th, he'll get Hunter Dozier, Whit Merrifield, and Christian Colon. At least those are the scheduled hitters. And there's a high slider to Dozier, who is grounded to short, walked, and scored a run. Good fastball over the outside. 2-1 on Dozier. And now he changes speeds. All 4 runs for the Royals were charged to Derek Holland. He gave up 4 runs, 7 hits, and 3 1/3. Mendoza got him out of the 4th inning. Out to Mazzara in right field. There are enough speakers and cables and steel beams in the ceiling here where I don't think you'd have somebody lose them. If they do, maybe for a brief moment, but this is not the Metrodome or Tropicana Field where it would blend in with a white ceiling. Outside to Whit Merrifield. 0 for 3 at the plate, but he's had an excellent game at second base. To right field.
That's
Who knows?
A chance of hitting something. No, it didn't.
2 down.
That was going to hit the ceiling. It was so high. I'd love to see what would have happened on the one Joey Gallo hit the other day to right field at the ballpark in Surprise. Ended up going off that little tent up on top of the berm, but it wasn't necessarily the distance. It was how high it went. I don't think it ever could have gotten to the stands here. I think it would have hit the ceiling before it got there. One of those balls, watching it from right field, from the right field stands, at first you thought it was a pop up to second. Then you watched it a little longer and said, no, it's going to carry to the outfield. Then you looked at the outfielder and go, well, it's going to be a home run. Then you watch it come down. It was over the berm in left field. Hang time was probably the kind of hang time you don't see very in the course of the season more than once.
Well, when I asked you to get me ready for this ballpark and how it plays, the first thing you brought up was, is Joey Gallo here?
Yeah, that's fun watching.
I think you wanted me to watch him take batting practice.
Take batting practice. Yeah, the Rangers have some big, strong guys that can hit the ball a long way, but he's especially fun to watch.
Colon had 3 hits. Klein gets him with a slider, and the Royals go down in order in the top of the 6th inning. Realized how fast he was, but they had a mascot race in between innings, and let's see, one of them was a Davy Crockett, one was Nolan Ryan. I didn't catch the third one, but with a tremendous burst of speed at the end. Watch this.
Ryan, all that tells you is what every fan in the state of Texas already knows. You never bet against Big Tex. It doesn't matter what the event is. If you got a chance to pick Big Tex, you go with Big Tex. It's a race, I'm picking Big Tex. It's featuring a little bit of a long neck. Maybe that's added to his speed. I'm not sure.
Maybe that's why he was laughing when he saw. He didn't realize that that's what he looks like from behind. This is Brian Flynn.
So what would you rather have? A bald spot on the back of your head or a neck that was that big?
I think I'd take the bald spot.
I'll go with the bald spot too.
I mean, you can.
I'm not dealing with
You
neck.
can spray paint out a bald spot, but I don't think there's a spray paint out there. There you go. There you go. See, you could. I think there's spray paint that takes care of this, but if there's no spray paint that takes care of the neck.
I've just made a commitment to Kurt Dykert, our producer, and Dave Burchett, our director. I'm getting spray paint for at least one game next year. Just got to match the right color.
See, this is our better angle right here, Tom, right? I mean,
well, not for me. Front. My best view is the side with a headset on. It's going to be a whole different ball game. I don't know which game it's going to be
next year.
Make
it a Kansas City game, would you please? I'd like to be a part of that.
Maybe.
Okay.
Spray. It's got to be a day where I know it's not going to rain, because evidently when you spray that hair on, you do so at your own peril when you go out in the rain. It tends to just drip down the side of your face. So fortunately it doesn't rain in our box, our broadcast booth. Well, we'll see what happens.
This is Calixte at third base, over to, and this is a mouthful for Rangers fans. Balbino Fuenminor is now at first base, and this is Brian Flynn. The Royals got him a couple of off seasons ago for Aaron Crow, who had some nice years in the Royals bullpen. And both pitchers ended up being injured last year. Aaron Crow had Tommy John surgery, never pitched for the Marlins, and Flynn pitched in just 6 games. He tore a muscle in the back of his left shoulder, but the Royals have big plans for Brian Flynn, who nearly made the club out of spring training last year. Inside to Ruggiano, 1 ball, 1 strike. Field, and that did hit something, and on the way down, Dusty Coleman.
Nice play.
Taking nothing for granted. He thought there might be the possibility it would hit something, so he went out into right field, and sure enough.
I was watching the right field. I wasn't watching the ball, right fielder, and I saw him go back to the wall, and then he started sprinting in. I figured he misjudged it, but obviously that wasn't the case, but second baseman made a very nice play.
They're still talking it over. Well, it's a busier roof here, but it's not as complicated as it is in Tropicana Field. When you got to go in there, you got to memorize now which ring is the one that's in play. Is it the D ring or the C ring or the?
I get the media guide out every trip in there and go to that rule just to have some idea. Because it seems like it comes into play almost every series you're there.
This will be the 5th assist for a Royals pitcher tonight. So a comebacker to Flynn. He comes out of the bullpen. He gets a nice heads-up play by Dusty Coleman, and a 1-2-3 bottom of the 6th inning. Still 4-2 Royals to the 7th inning. Phil Klein will stay on for a 3rd inning. The Royals, and the inning went by so quickly, but they started making their spring training changes in the bottom of the 6th, and now the Rangers are doing the same in the top of the 7th inning. So we will pass those along. And one of those Royals changes was in center field. Raymond Fuentes. So he bats here in Kane's spot and hits it up the left field line and foul. Lorenzo Cain was 2 for 3 with an RBI. Raymond Fuentes spent last year at AAA Omaha. He is a former 1st-round pick of the Boston Red Sox. Spent a little bit of time a few years ago with the Padres at the major league level. Phil Klein is pitching to Jose Trevino. Takes over for Robinson Chirinos. There's Trevino. Good breaking ball down and in. 2-2. Wasn't Phil Klein the guy that hit DeShields in the minor leagues when DeShields was in the Astros organization? Remember that?
I don't know.
Remember that? It was on. It went viral on social media. Remember Delino DeShields was hit by a pitch a few years ago, and the side of his head was about twice the size. I think it was.
If it was Phil Klein, I should know that. I'm embarrassed to say I don't, but
I'm embarrassed to say that I do. I mean, I don't normally keep track of guys getting hit in the head. Fuentes takes a leadoff walk.
It's been confirmed by Dave Burchett in the truck. You are right.
Now this is Balbino Fuenminor.
He looks like Steve Balboni.
And at times he hits like Steve Balboni. The Rangers turn their 2nd double play of the night. He is a fan favorite among Royals fans. First of all, just for the name. But
well, they used to love Steve Balboni,
that's right.
too.
Well, and you know, Steve Balboni, he had that nickname, Bye Bye Balboni, and now it's Bye Bye Balbino. He had a big year at Double-A for the Royals last year. And this is Parker Morin taking over for Salvador Perez behind the plate. Royals are in really good shape at the catcher position with what we feel is one of the best in the game in Salvador Perez and guys in the minor leagues like Morin. And one step into foul territory. That was Jared Hoying making the play. So Klein gives up a leadoff walk. He gets a double play and faces only 3 in the top of the 7th. is the Alamo Dome from the Fox Sports blimp high above San Antonio. Nice crowd here tonight of all ages. Big league weekend for the 4th consecutive year with the Texas Rangers as hosts. They've had the Padres here. They've had the Astros. They had the Dodgers last year. And this year the Royals tonight and tomorrow afternoon. And the two teams who share the facility in Surprise will head back to Arizona. Royals, of course, won the World Series last year, and in doing so they had to get past a very tough Houston Astros team, and there was a point during the division series where it looked like the Royals season was over. They were down by 4 going into the 8th inning, but Royals season was highlighted by, and especially the postseason, one comeback after another, and they ended up knocking the Astros out. And it was the Rangers knocking out the Astros late to win the American League West. So a big year of baseball in the state of Texas. Jose Trevino hits for the first time. And grounds it past Caliste, backhanded by Clint Barmas, who spent many years as the Colorado Rockies shortstop. And his fine play gets Trevino to begin the bottom of the 7th inning.
I guess it doesn't matter who comes into play for the Royals. They're going to make a nice defensive play.
And now Josh Morgan, who has taken over at third base for Drew Robinson. Hit into left center field. Paulo Orlando, who has moved from right to left, is there to cut it off. And Josh Morgan is on with one down.
Second baseman Doug Benier.
Doug Bernier, who has seen some time with the Minnesota Twins. These kind of games in a bigger stadium with bigger crowds are not rare. I guess the only rare thing about it is that it comes in the middle of spring training. I haven't looked at the Rangers schedule, but the Royals will play a couple of exhibition games with the Diamondbacks just to kind of get back to the big stadium feel before the regular season begins. And you mentioned earlier, Tom, about how, you know, if you're a young player, maybe you're not going to break camp with the club, but you show the manager and general manager what you can do. And then games like this, you know, how do you do in the double deck and triple deck ballpark with a bigger crowd?
Yeah. Rangers in the past, before this series in San Antonio, played several years in Las Vegas in the same kind of a game. And they always play some type of an exhibition game, usually a couple of them right before the season starts.
Royals and Rangers, by the way, will play in back-to-back weekends in July. We won't see you guys until after the All-Star break. One weekend in Arlington, followed by a weekend in Kansas City. Calixte will play it to second, and no chance for a double play, even with a better feed. So Morgan's out at second base, 2 down. Last year, the Rangers won the season series 4-3. And as you were talking about Rangers filling out their spots at the back end of the rotation, it would shock some Royals fans that Chichi Gonzalez was not a lock with the way that he pitched against the Royals last year. Second major league start was at Kauffman Stadium, and he ended up with his first major league shutout. That is blasted to right field. My goodness. That is a fair ball and a 2-run home run into the third deck. Jared Hoying, who recorded the final out of the top of the 7th inning, gets one into the third deck to right field. So how about that for impressing the manager in a triple deck ballpark? He puts it into the triple deck and ties the game at 4.
Yeah, the first couple of home runs were, one was questionable, one was a possible home run. That one, there's no doubt. You hit a ball like that down the line, you got a home run anywhere. The only question we couldn't tell, but obviously the umpire could tell whether it was fair or foul. Pitch on the middle part of the plate. And Jared Hoying launched that one to right field. Well, he's a kid the last 2 years in AAA who's hit 20 home runs and stolen 20 bases, so he's got some pretty good tools. The younger guys have gotten a lot of play in spring training. You tend to forget a guy like Hoying, who's put up 2 nice seasons in AAA.
An impressive home run to right, and the Rangers have tied the game at 4. And what had been a 4-2 Royals lead for a few innings is now tied at 4 as we advance to the 8th. Jake Diekman is the 4th Rangers pitcher tonight. And he comes on after Phil Klein gave Jeff Bannister 3 innings and 3 hitless innings, giving up just a couple of walks. Pretty good numbers for Diekman last year. 26 games and an ERA just a shade over 2.
Talked about the trade for Cole Hamels and what that meant to the Rangers as far as starting pitching went. Sam Dyson and Jake Diekman were acquired at the same time, and what they did for the bullpen was equally as important, if not more important, solidifying the bullpen and kind of paving the way for the move into the postseason.
Paulo Orlando homered after Salvador Perez homered back in the second inning. He's also reached for the walk. So 3 hitless innings. That was not enough work for Phil Klein. He's going to head out to the bullpen and throw a few more pitches.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases in spring training, guys that are in competition for a starting job early in spring training sometimes don't get to their allotted innings. They get to their pitch count too quick. But in this particular case, Phil didn't get to his pitch count, but the Rangers want to pitch Diekman and Dyson today, and so it didn't matter how many pitches he got. He had to come out so that Jake could come in and pitch the 8th inning, and Dyson, I think, the 9th inning.
Off the fist, and a diving play in right field. Now the Rangers with Jordan Danks, the longtime Chicago White Sox player, and Longhorn player, makes a nice play in right field.
Very nice play. And that's a play that he in a regular game, in a regular field, he's charging that ball and picking it up as it's rolling to him. But here, because he was playing so shallow, he had a chance to dive and make a beautiful play out there. Guy that's played some center field in his past.
And now Dusty Coleman. Dusty Coleman chipped in with a nice defensive play back in the 6th inning on a ball that was hit up into the roof and ricocheted off either a speaker or a steel beam, and what could have dropped for a bloop base hit behind second base. He raced out from second and made the play. Most of the season with AAA Omaha, and then spent a small portion of the year at the big league level with the Royals. Fastball got him looking. 2 up, 2 down for Diekman in the 8th inning.
Fastball right in the inside corner. Diekman performed admirably for the Rangers last year, and he also lit up the radar gun too. Upper 90s. He popped one or two at 100 miles an hour.
And this is Travis Snider. Former first-round pick of the Toronto Blue Jays. Travis Snider is with the Royals on a minor league contract. Also spent time in the big leagues with the Pirates and the Orioles. Those are his numbers at AAA Indianapolis. And when Gerard Dyson went down with an oblique injury very early in spring training, that opened things up in right field. And Snider is still in that mix. Has either a platoon situation in right field with Paulo Orlando or just maybe a reserve outfielder role. As Diekman comes on, he got some help on defense from Danks, and then strikes out Coleman and Snider to end the 8th inning. And the Royals landed here about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So for many of us who had never been to San Antonio before, got a chance to experience the River Walk. And now inside the Alamo Dome, a 4-4 tie. Bottom of the 8th inning, John Lannon takes over for the Royals. Lannon has considerable big league experience. He spent all of last season in AAA at Albuquerque. And trying to hook on with the Royals as a non-roster player. Head of the count, no balls and 2 strikes against Luis Marte. Breaking ball down, just got a piece of it, still no balls, 2 strikes.
An unusual stat through 7 innings. No walks, no strikeouts for the Royals pitchers. Dylan G gave up 2 earned runs, but actually they were kind of tainted with a bloop double and bounced over the left fielder's head for the 2 runs. But you look at his line and say, he didn't strike anybody out. But a lot of his outs were weakly hit ground balls to the infield. Well, I think he had to be very impressive for Ned Yost watching today. Definitely did nothing to hurt his chances of making the ball club.
Lannon begins his outing with a strikeout, 1 down. Now, Dylan G has quite a bit of major league experience, but this is what we were discussing earlier, where you start making that transition in spring training to, okay, everyone's getting their feet wet, getting back in the groove. Now you have to start performing. And I would imagine, not just for Ned Yost, but any manager, now you're getting into that part of spring training where it's like, okay, is this guy going to throw strikes? Right? Can we trust this guy to throw strikes? And throw strikes to big league hitters. You can, looks like you throw strikes in AA or AAA, but you get guys that aren't as strict with the strike zone as they are at this level.
Yeah. I think in Dylan G's case, he has shown that he can do that and has done that successfully in the major leagues. And he's healthy and throwing the ball well right now. So I think you probably have some confidence in him. But it's probably the guys that haven't been in the big leagues before, pitching in spring training, trying to make the ball club, that have to learn to trust their stuff. Can they throw strikes and get big league hitters out? Do they have the confidence to do that? Or do they feel like they have to trick batters or throw perfect pitches? And that can lead to control issues as well. But Dylan G definitely showed today what he's shown in the past, ability to mix his speeds and throw quality strikes that aren't easy to hit.
Jordan Danks is out on a hard hit ground ball to Dusty Coleman, 2 down. John Lannon has pitched most of his career with the Washington Nationals. He's also pitched with the Phillies. And most recently, 2 seasons ago, a handful of games with the Mets. Best season for John Lannon was 2011 when he won 10 games for Washington. One and one. Go around. Trip Gibson is the first base umpire. 2 balls, 1 strike. The thing I remember about Ruggiano, just kind of going through some notes on him. 3 seasons ago in 2013, he was with the Marlins. They went to Kauffman Stadium. Tom, he was in the middle of an for 42.
Whoa.
Now he got a hit, and what usually happens when you break a streak that long?
Someone gives you the ball?
Well, that, and he ended up with 3 hits in the game. You know, all the load off of his shoulders to get rid of the 0 for 42, and he ended up with 3 hits in the game.
Wow. Yeah, I had one in the 30s in my first year of AAA ball one time, and you get past 20, and you start to wonder if you're ever going to get a hit again.
I was just thinking, I don't know, and I haven't been doing this as long as you have, but I don't know if I'd seen an 0 for 42.
I don't remember an 0 for 40 something, unless well, even if it's a pitcher,
right,
over 5 or 6 years,
right,
it's hard to go 0 for 42. I mean, it'd be hard for a fan who had played high school baseball to go 0 for 42. Right. Sooner or later, you're going to get lucky and bloop one in. But, you know, for a solid major league hitter to go 0 for 42, that's pretty remarkable. You would think you had to break a bat and have one fall in, or hit a little dribbler to the infield sooner or later to get a hit.
Guzman pops it off of third, and Calixte has room, and that's the inning. So Lannon comes on in the bottom of the 8th. He faces 4, and now to the 9th inning in a 4-4 tie. This is Sam Dyson on for the top of the 9th inning. Royals had a 4-2 lead, and then Jared Hoying hit a home run into the 3rd deck in right field to tie the game. So here's Dyson's numbers, giving the Rangers, as Tom said, a big lift along with Jake Diekman last year. 1.15 earned run average.
He probably faced, I don't know, 120 batters, whatever he faced. He must have hit 75 of them off the hands. I never saw a guy get more weakly hit ground balls than he got last year. He was throwing quality strikes at 97 or 98 miles an hour most of the time.
Orlando Calixte bats for the first time. Taps it out in front of the plate. And Trevino over to Guzman for the out. And as good as Dyson was during the regular season, it was the home run that he gave up in the division series that sparked a debate that went on and on throughout the offseason about the Jose Bautista bat flip. Was it too much? Is that just a part of his personality?
Yeah, I think you're going to get a lot of different opinions on that. You know, it's probably not popular with Ranger fans. My feeling is when you hit a home run at that point in the game for a team that hadn't been to the postseason in such a long time in front of your hometown fans at that stage of a game, as important as that hit was, I'll cut him some slack. You know, it appeared to me watching it on the screen that the pitch was at least on the inner half of the plate. I don't know if he got it exactly where he wanted it, but Bautista, obviously he's an accomplished power hitter, and he was watching, and he's got scouting reports, and he knew that Sam likes to throw in, and that was just a case of going up there and looking for a pitch on the inside part of the plate. And it's one thing to do that, look for it and get it, but then when it's going 96 miles an hour, to have the talent to hit it, that's another thing too.
To the opposite field and gone. Whit Merrifield, who is the only hitter tonight who has had 5 at-bats. He is lined to right. He is flied to the warning track and right, and now he's homered to right. And that's the 3rd opposite field home run for the Royals, and they take a 5-4 lead.
That one definitely didn't get in. That got most of the plate.
This is Clint Barmas.
Well, you'd have a pretty good story if you saw Whit Merrifield flip the bat on that one. A little bit different for a go-ahead home run in this game. But that's the kind of thing that you talked about it earlier. Can spark debate, boy. Can you flip a bat like that, or can't you? Is it an unwritten? Well, it is an unwritten rule, but what is an unwritten rule?
The only problem I had with it, Tom, and you know, the Royals had Jose Bautista for a very short period of time, years and years ago, before he became what he is now. And when I say became, the type of hitter he is now. And it got Barmas on the hand, so he'll take first base with 1 out. And maybe this is what angered Dyson and the Rangers, not to mention just the heat of the moment and how that inning just unraveled. But if Bautista, and he does this from time to time, if he had just watched the ball go to left field and flip his bat, okay, fine. But he looked at the mound. You know, he looked at Dyson. It was a second.
Yeah.
But now
I agree with that.
Now you're bringing that's where I think you're showing up the pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it's not about him and the Blue Jays fans in that long drought. Now you're bringing in the pitcher. Nice backhand stop by Marte to keep it on the infield, but no chance to get Fuentes, who runs well. So 2 on, 1 out. Fuentes gets an infield single after a walk in the 7th inning.
My favorite one, though, what's the reliever for Cincinnati that shoots the bow and arrow? I mean, for
Fernando Rodney.
Fernando Rodney, when he gets the last out and he looks up at the sky and he pretends like he's shooting a bow and arrow, and then Logan Morrison comes in from first base and acts like he's watching the arrow go. So now, is that showing up the hitters? I actually think it's kind of funny. But you can't do much to a relief pitcher. He's never going to get an at bat.
Right.
So, you know, when Dennis Eckersley comes off the mound after a save and pounds his glove and screams and yells.
Nice diving play. Step on third. Throw to first. Josh Morgan not only saved a run, but he turned that into an inning-ending double play with Ryan O'Hearn at the plate. tied before Royals. They've hit 3 home runs, including Whit Merrifields in the top of the 9th inning, and John Lannon, who came on in the 8th. Will try and close this one out with Alex Trevino, Josh Morgan, who just made a great play at third base, and Doug Bernier coming up in the bottom of the 9th inning. Just to close the book on our discussion about Dyson and Bautista, if what Bautista did is okay, then in my opinion, and we were discussing this off air in between innings, I think Sam Dyson has the right next year, if there's a game, and if Dyson comes into the game for the Rangers, obviously it's going to be a close game, critical part of the game. If he strikes out Bautista in a critical moment, he's allowed to pump his fist and stare down Bautista.
Absolutely.
And if Bautista has a problem with it, then the debate starts all over again. But if Bautista just says, okay, now we're even, well, then all right.
That's the way it should be. Whether he's right or wrong, he did what he did. And to me, the best way to answer that, rope to center field. Jose Trevino gets a rally started here, maybe. Yeah, the best way to answer it, to me, is not with a pitch in the ribs, but it's 3 great pitches that strike him out in a key part of the game, or a fastball that breaks his bat in half and it's a little dribbler back to the mound. And knowing Sam a little bit, he probably wouldn't do that. But if he did, Jose Bautista would have had very little argument, and I can't imagine that he would argue about it. You got me, now I got you.
That's Pedro Siriaco running for Jose Trevino. I said Alex Trevino. Jose Trevino. And this is Josh Morgan, who impressed his manager and coaching staff with his defensive play in the top of the 9th inning. This is a 1-run game and not a 2-run game. And Lannon is in with a strike, 0-1. Grounded, and now Calixte makes a good play at third, and no double play.
That would have been some kind of double play. I don't think the Royals could have duplicated that double play at the big league level if they turned it. Calixte makes a beautiful pickup, and he's got an arm. He throws a bullet to second base, and they almost turned that. That would have been about as nice a double play as you could see at any level. That ball was hit hard down the line. Didn't take an easy hop. Calixte almost reached out toward left field to catch that ball on a hop. Recovered and made a beautiful throw to second.
Doug Bernier fouls it back. Bernier was on with a fielder's choice in the 7th inning, and the Royals were leading the Rangers 4-2 at that point, and then Jared Hoying hit that long 2-run home run into the 3rd deck in right field, which tied the game, and then the Royals took the lead on Merrifield's home run in the 9th. To the right field side. read that move well. He really doesn't have a very threatening lead over at first base. Got him. 2 down.
Off-speed pitch. Tough pitch for a young hitter.
And now Jared Hoying against Ryan Flynn in the 7th inning. Hit a 2-run home run into the 3rd deck. Swing. Fastball over the outside. So the Rangers are down to their last strike. Two and two. Still alive. Tom was telling you about the 2020 seasons for Hoying. 2 years ago at Round Rock, 26 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Last year at Round Rock, 23 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Tried to get him with a changeup down, and the ball gets away from Morin, and now the tying run is in scoring position. That could go either way. That could be a wild pitch or a pass ball. And Morin, a lot of times when there's a meeting immediately after there, sometimes there's confusion with exactly what pitch was coming. Did hit the dirt first, so they'll call it a wild pitch. Just outside. Morin tried to pull it into the strike zone. So Lannon was pitching him carefully. Hoying will take the walk. And now the potential winning run is on for the Rangers. And Lewis Brinson will come to the plate. He pinch ran for the Shields in the 5th inning and then grounded out to second base in the 7th. Low. I think he's pitching young hitters that might get caught up in the moment the right way. He's trying to get him to roll over on a changeup down.
Yep.
Back into the crowd. 1 ball, 1 strike. Center field. Fuentes will watch it land onto the tarp, and Lewis Brinson hits a 3-run walk-off home run. And the Rangers defeat the Royals 7-5.
That's a pretty good celebration for a spring training game. Well, Lewis Brinson is one of the prize jewels of the Rangers farm system. And so for him to get that opportunity and cash in, that's a big thrill for him. And it's obviously a big thrill for his young teammates that made the trip here to San Antonio. That's one he'll remember. Be able to talk about that when he gets back to camp in Surprise, Arizona, and eventually makes his way down to the AAA team. Getting ready for the Gatorade. Wait a minute.
Double Gatorade.
That's the best Gatorade bath he's ever had.
20 home runs last year at 3 different levels for the former first-round pick.
Well, he did what you mentioned, Brian. He laid off an off-speed pitch down on the first pitch, which was a pretty nice piece of hitting for a young hitter. And then he got into the count, got his fastball to hit, and showed pretty nice power to right center field, drove it out of the ballpark.
So game 1, thanks to Lewis Brinson of this big league weekend, goes to the Texas Rangers 7-5. And we will be back to San Antonio to wrap it up right after this.